Hey, would it be important to you to know how to change from, say, feeling sad to feeling awesome, or feeling down to joy, or feeling X and the best Y you could ever think? Would that be of interest? Taking a huge leap by taking a small step for mankind, but more importantly for you. Would that be of interest? Have a listen after this.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey, my friend. Back again with the Personal Development Unplugged podcast. It's me, your friend Paul. One small step can lead to one giant leap for you. Yeah, I coined that a little bit, but we have talked about feeling low before, haven't we? And we've talked about stopping, pausing, and just explore what you're feeling. We've talked about it quite a few times, I think, where we can just, instead of trying to do anything about it, just to acknowledge it. Sometimes when we just acknowledge a feeling and we go into it, we just explore it, do nothing to change it, it will dissipate because we have just acknowledged it. You know what? Sometimes we just want to feel differently, don't we? You know, you wake up in the morning or you're doing something and you just feel, you feel down. You might feel depressed. You might feel guilty. You might feel jealous. You might feel sad. You might feel just, And a lot of people might just ask you, well, how do you want to feel? I mean, I ask that of my clients. I know you got this issue, but how do you want to feel? And it would seem the most natural thing that you would know how you want to feel. But sometimes we don't, not off the bat, because we've had this feeling before. We've had this feeling for maybe a little time in the day, and maybe it's a recurring feeling. And because it gets to us, that's the only thing we can focus on. And the more we focus, that's what we get. You remember that little sentence? What you focus on is what you get, whether you want it or not. It's your unconscious mind really just trying to understand what you're trying to want, trying to protect you, trying to do something for you, doing its best. And sometimes it's just, we just don't know, do we? Don't know what we really want. I mean, you could. I guess I know you just don't want to feel this way, but and you could just explore it. As I said, you could just go inside and notice where the feeling is. You could just become aware of its, I'm going to call it its qualities, which is like, does it have a temperature? That's weird, isn't it? A feeling having a temperature. Does it have an intensity? That's not too weird, Paul. Does it move? Well, I hadn't thought about that. Sometimes they can just expand and then contract. Maybe sometimes they just vibrate a little bit to know that you've got it. Sometimes it can be tight. You know, that really tight feeling in your gut. It could have a colour. Really? Yeah, you know, sometimes when you go in there, you can just become aware of a colour that it is. There's a process that I use to spin feelings away, and we just change the colour. It's just changing the submodalities of that feeling. But it's difficult sometimes, isn't it? To think on the outside what you want when you're stuck in the bloody inside. You're stuck with this feeling. So whether it's the worst feeling in the world or it's just that down feeling, it's sometimes all it just consumes, doesn't it? And I thought about this a little bit. And I also thought about it. I was trying to compare these things. I tried to compare things with other things. And I came into my head about achieving our goals and procrastination. Been talking about procrastination quite a bit with other people, and one part of I'll get round to saying that sometime, procrastination, is that sometimes the goal, we know sometimes what it is, or we just can't get it quite fixed in our head, but we know it's so big, the effects are going to be so great. And it's just right over there, and there's so many things to do, because I've got all these things and I must do, and yeah, it's overwhelming, isn't it? And why is that? Because it is too big. There's all those steps and we're not trying to find a way, because the way it was explained to me at one time was, and it's such a simple little metaphor, is if you want to cross a river, and it doesn't have to be a huge river, but it can be. You could take a blooming long run and jump. And I know, maybe it's not a wide river, maybe it's a stream. And you think, I could do that. It's a long way. It's doable. And you run like hell and you jump and yeah, you don't make it, do you? And you land in that cold water and it is not a nice experience because now you're being overwhelmed by all the things. And then so even if we did start, I didn't like that. I'm not going to do that again. Why? Because it was too big. We want to take a big leap of faith in ourselves, but not a big leap in the things that we need to find a better way, don't we? And that's exactly what it is in that metaphor. Find a better way. Find another path. Because if you go and look around a little bit, you might just find there's some stepping stones. Ooh, Cluffy, this metaphor's getting really hot. But you find some stepping stones. And as you get more and more confident, those stepping stones can get a little wider apart. And in fact, they come a bit quicker and they become easier. And those muscles in your legs become stronger because of the things that you're learning and you're doing and your repetitions. And you just get more and more confident. And I think that's the same as feelings. Sometimes we have to do real work. If it's a feeling that you're getting over and over again, hey, this will help. This will help. And so will hypnosis and things like that. But what I'd always suggest, as you know, would be a one-to-one session with someone like me. Not saying with me, I do it online, but someone like me, someone who has hypnosis, timeline therapy, NLP, those type of skills that will allow you to let go of these things really quickly. And then when you come back again, listen to this, it will make it even more sense. But this will help. This will certainly loosen the model of the world of that hold of that feeling. You can also, as you do this and listen to this, you might want to think, well, what have I got that would help me as well as doing what Paul's going to tell me? Well, you've got those hypnosis tracks that I do. There are over 50. You know where to get them, paulcloughonline.com/podcast. You get them and they're all free. If you want to learn how to truly relax or have an inner retreat in your mind, you can go to my paid for hypnosis programs. They're at Paul Clough Online, as well as, you've got that supreme inner confidence, that letting go of anxiety, free your life of anxiety, 2 wonderful programs. And you get a massive discount. Remember that. Massive discount if you sign up. But hey, they're courses of mine. There are other courses, but I do think, you've got to just think for a moment. Is this something that is recurring? This is something that I'm experiencing more and more and more. Because nip it in the bud, do something about it right now. But also do this, because this will get you on your way as well. So what is this, Paul? I haven't told you yet. So what I want you to do is, I still want you to stop. And I still want you to pause. I still want you to, before you do the work, I want you to think of what you want. Now, when I say what you want, it's like your intention, your desired outcome. I know you want to change, and I think that's it. Not how you want to change, how you exactly want to be, because I say that jump is too bloody big. When you're in that feeling, that negative feeling, trying to work out what you blooming want is so difficult. I know when I work with clients, one of the things I will say is, tell me about your issue, and then how do you want to be? And sometimes they've been in that issue for so long, they're saying, actually, Paul, I haven't got a bloody clue what I want, how I want to feel. And I have to tease it out, thinking about the way things they've done in the past, what they have enjoyed, and how did that feel? Oh, yeah, Paul, that's what I want. Actually, I want, to be the real me again, and all that joy and things. But the intention would be, I want to feel better than this. I want to feel more positive than this. And when I get to that, I can really start homing in. So we're going to set our intention. We're going to set our state. What's your state? Well, I've already got a blooming state, Paul. It's not very good. Yeah, but the state could just be, I'm going to get curious about this feeling. So you're not pushing it away. You're not, you're acknowledging it. You could even start with that feeling maybe of that secret feeling. Remember we talked about it in the FMQ? That happy feeling, that secret of feeling happy in your heart. Now that would be a great thing just to remind yourself of that little feeling deep inside your heart. Because we're not going to do anything with it. We're not going to try to flood that old feeling. We're just going to say, this is a good place to start. We can start from here. Now, as an aside, you see, there's also a feeling of feeling comfortable. And feeling comfortable is what? I don't know. I know what my feeling comfortable is. I don't know what yours is. So you could also, and this is a great thing, it's something I love to do over and over again. I love to teach it, and I love to give the process to my clients. It has such a wonderful effect. And it's how to be comfortable. And it was effectively the very first podcast I did. The very first podcast was an introduction to me. Then the second one, #2, believe it or not, was how to feel comfortable. And I did a hypnosis, my very first online hypnosis program. It's free. You can go to those free hypnosis, and it's right at the very bottom of the list. #2.1, how to feel comfortable. In fact, I love that process so much. I got a feeling I want to re-record it and redo another. I'll do a 2.1 revisited. But you could use that now just to learn to feel comfortable. Because again, just trying to just break this little pattern at the moment to give you the opportunity to see the steps along the way. What steps are those, Paul? Haven't got there yet. So maybe finding a way, first of all, how to stop and pause, set our intention, and sort of set our state. And if the state is difficult, it will change. I guarantee you this. Sort of Cluffy guarantee. Keep with me. Come along these little steps. Because you see, when you think of, let's just take the example of feeling down, and we could have any feeling, but for ease, I'm feeling down. Now, when I'm not feeling down, and I was looking back at this, and I thought, well, if I was feeling down, how would I like to feel when I'm feeling down instead of feeling down? I'd like to feel bloody awesome. Now, is that quite a big jump? It's a bloody huge jump, isn't it? And it's far too big to suddenly go, okay, Cluffy, you're feeling down. Now let's feel awesome. And you go, I can't do that. But what I could do, what could I do? I mean, this is me like thinking back when I felt down. What could I have done to go towards awesome? What, like finding another way, Paul? Funny enough. Finding another path. Oh, funny enough, Cluffy. What, finding a little stepping stone that gets me slightly nearer to awesome? Yeah, well, I could go from, say, from down to a little bit sad. Just a little bit sad. Or to sad, a little sad. You could do that, couldn't you? Because I'm feeling really down. Well, I can go to sad. It's maybe just a smidgen better than feeling down. Because sad is like, I can be sad about one thing, but I know I can move past that. But feeling down seems a little bit more stuck in the mud. Then what could you do? What could you do from feeling that little bit sad? What could be another step? Remember, keeping that state of curiosity or keeping that state of feeling comfortable, keeping that feeling, that secret feeling of happiness in your heart. What could be another movement from a little bit sad? Well, maybe, and I thought about this, and I'm going to give a big shout out to a guy called Benjamin Stubbs, who reminded me of this in a little book that he wrote called Simples. And it was, well, maybe you could just think of disappointment, because that's like one step nearer or away from sadness. And it's certainly 2 steps away from down. Just disappointment. Because disappointment is just a little bit better, isn't it? Just a little bit better. Oh, come on, you work with me now. Work with me. What could be another little step from disappointment towards awesome? But we haven't thought about awesome yet. Could it be boredom? As an example for you, boredom. Say I go from disappointment to boredom. I could do that. We haven't done it yet, by the way. In fact, I'd just be writing these down. And then I'd be thinking, well, what could I do differently from boredom? One step movement towards a positive side from boredom. Maybe just frustration. Frustration. It's not anger. It's not anger. I don't like anger. But frustration. That's taking me away a little bit more. And then where can I go? Impatience. Yeah, I'm impatient now. I'm starting to move a little bit. Can you feel there's more energy in impatience from frustration? Seems to be I'm moving a little bit more. And when I'm impatient, what am I impatient for? Because I've got hope. I've got hope that something's going to change now. I'm impatient that the change hasn't happened. So, and I know because it's hope. And from hope, where can I go from hope? Well, maybe, let me think. And this is what I thought. Optimism. I can be optimistic. That's not the biggest feeling in the world, but it's not the lowest feeling in the world, just optimistic. And what happens from being optimistic? Optimism. Maybe that leads me to an expectation. I can start to expect to feel better. To feel maybe enthusiastic. Oh, there's another step, Cluffy. So now I'm enthusiastic. Now, enthusiastic is not a bad feeling, is it? I'm feeling pretty good now. And with that, my energy is starting to get a little bit warmer. It's starting to get a little bit buzzy. And if I could I go from enthusiastic to a little bit happy? Just marginally, a margin of happiness. Maybe that feeling of happiness in my heart is now just starting to get a little bit stronger. And from that happiness, maybe I can go to appreciation to myself and appreciation of others. Maybe I could take that to joy. And that joy is maybe what awesome is. And can you see how each one could be a step? Because, let's just go back again. How would you, okay, Paul, how did you do that? How did you do that? Well, first of all, I would write them down. Because now I've got a plan, haven't I? I've got my stepping stones, as it were. And the thing is, if I wrote these down, I have got a process, a strategy. And if I wrote these down, I could probably use these again, certainly if I felt down again. But I might be able to use them for a different type of negative emotion. But certainly it gives me the framework, a skeleton, to actually change things so I could go from different things such as jealousy or grief or fear. I could use any one of those and say, well, okay, if I'm feeling grief, that's a bit like sadness and down, isn't it? And like disappointment, maybe loss, and just move things around. Or if I'm fear and I'm anxious, I could then go to just being aware. And then maybe I could get to a little bit of frustration. And they're all there. There's some qualities there. And I would write it down on a little card and just stick it on my desk. Not to focus on them. I'd have it face down. And I'd call it something like my bailout card or this is my little stepping stone card. So I know it's always there. But just writing them down doesn't do it, does it? No, Paul. But it does, doesn't it? When you first write it down, when you think of the next one, you have to go there, don't you? You have to go into that blooming feeling. But this could be intellectual. This could be an intellectual exercise for working out the exact bestest, that's a good word, the bestest steps you can make. But you have to do it. Because knowing without doing, well, it's a waste of time knowing, isn't it? Why the bloody hell would you know something if you're not going to use it? But we're going to use this. Because I tell you what, once you start using it, your unconscious mind will take over. This is one conscious way of creating a habit, creating a process within you, a strategy within you. Because when your unconscious mind realizes this is a bloody good thing to do, it will take it on board for you. You just have to do it a couple of times. So you're not forcing a strategy. Like, I don't want to do this, I really want to do this, because again, that jump is too bloody big. But how would you do it? Well, if you wanted to. Well, you know what down is, if we're taking this example of down, because you're there already. Well, let me just think of a time when I was just a little bit disappointed. Or a little bit sad. We said sad first. When I was just a little bit sad. Yeah, I can feel that now. I could feel that little bit sad. And then look at my little stepping stone card, let me just think of a time in the past when I was just a little bit disappointed. Well, I can do that now because I'm moving from sadness to disappointment. And as I think about that, I could feel that disappointment. And then knowing that I'm looking at this card, because I know where I'm going now, and I know these are little steps, and I know I've set my expectation is there now, but where I've set my goal, my intention, my states are changing, I then think of when I was bored. Oh, I can do that. Time, and just keep these to one specific memory. One specific memory. Never go to a 10 out of 10 until you can go out to 10 out of 10 as you get further down the list. So what I would do, I would start with a 2 out of 10 for sadness, a 2 out of 10 to disappointment, maybe a 3 out of 10 moving to boredom, a boredom to frustration. Think of a time when I was frustrated, maybe a 3 or 4 out of 10. And when I've got that feeling of frustration and I'm looking at impatient, when was a time when I was impatient? Maybe I can go to a 4 to a 4.5. And now I'm feeling that feeling of impatience, hope. When did I feel really hopeful about getting somewhere? And because of hope, there is that little bit of expectation and optimism, isn't there? It's tinged with it. And when can I think of one time? And I can go there now. And when I've got that feeling of hope, I can think of that one really good memory where I was so optimistic of getting the result. I can feel that now. And as I feel that, that's pretty good. But I'm not stopping here now because I expect to get, expectation, that was the next one. And even though I'm feeling it now, I want to think of a time when I really had a great expectation because it proved to be right. It proved to be successful because that's a good memory to have. And now I can feel that. And now I'm enthusiastic. Oh, that's another one. A time when I was so enthusiastic about doing something and that was successful too. And maybe even that same memory, how happy I was with that, the result. And maybe then I had that appreciation, that real feeling of gratitude. And when I have happiness and gratitude, maybe there's a bit of love in there. And it just feels joy feeling. Isn't that awesome? And how long did that take? Well, you might take a little longer than that because you have to think of those memories. But you know what? I reckon in 5 minutes, you could probably go from feeling down to certainly optimism. Optimism? My words, optimistic. You could have an expectation. And then in maybe a little while longer, you could then go. You can move your way through. But what a wonderful way to do this, but also to think that you can move from down to something like hope, expectation. We haven't even finished the whole lot yet. In just a few minutes. Wouldn't that be better than staying in that down feeling? Yeah, think about it. And was that difficult? No, it wasn't difficult. Did you have to do it? Too bloody right. Because no one else is going to do it for you. So I would actually write these things down. If there's a feeling that you get more often than not, maybe it is a jealousy, maybe it is fear, maybe it is anxiety, maybe it is grief. Think about it when you're in the right state. So before you feel those, so when you're feeling comfortable, just think, well, in the past, when I felt that fear, what would be one step closer to feeling really comfortable? I know I've got Paul's hypnosis, that hashtag 2.1 feeling comfortable, but let's go through those stages. So you could have your stepping stone card from fear, from grief, from jealousy, from you blooming name it. You could have as many as you want. You could have a little filing card, a little rotring thing or whatever it is that just goes round and round. And you can pick anything you want. And the thing is, it's the same process, isn't it? The process doesn't change, just the elements of those processes or of those steps along the way just gets more appropriate. And when you start to do this, as I say, your unconscious mind suddenly goes, hey, this is better. This is a better way than just feeling down. I know I'm trying to protect you in some way, maybe, to keep you safe. Generally, that's what the intention is at the lower, the real core. This is probably a better way. This is something like We talked a little bit before, I think, about the core transformation created by the Andreas family. This is similar to that, where you move up in steps, where the part of you wants something for you. When it gets that, what does it want for you that's even more important? And when it gets that, what does it want even more important? Until you get that real core emotion that it really wants for you. And this is a bit like that, taking those tiny little baby steps. We call them baby steps. If you don't like the word baby, little steps along the way. And I would also, maybe if it's not in cards, I'd write it in a journal. I'd have my inspiration book, my ideas book, my changing my bloody mood book. I'd also journal it as well. Journal it in a way of that gratitude. Do you know what? Yesterday, I changed the way I felt. And it was awesome. And I'm so pleased with me and my unconscious mind. Now, what you could do, and this is what I thought about, because we do think about things like therapy and personal development, or a lot of people do anyway. It's too big generalization, Cluffy. But a lot of people think it's all to do with negative stuff, changing negative stuff into positive stuff, which a lot of it is. But, and there is a but to this, and I thought, how else could you use this? I mean, if you're a coach, when you've got steps along the way, so if people need help in their thoughts, you could change the way they feel. You could take them into different memories, tell them stories of different emotions, so they come along and they start to feel differently. But what about a project? If you were doing a project at work, you could think of those steps and keeping them small, but you could also remind yourself of the intention and the state of each step that you need, because some will be contemplation, maybe thinking. Some will be action. Some will be review. And each one will have a different emotion, won't it? A different state. Not necessarily, and certainly not a negative state, but when you're reviewing, you just want to review. You don't want to be thinking of all the steps in the future. You want to review how far we've come. So you can take a real good look at where you are, and then you look to the future of what you're going to do and those new steps and stages. Let the stages then evolve. Say it's a book. You're writing a book. Do so many different things. All you have to do is remember, stop, pause, get in state, and then have fun. That's a good place to be as well. And know your outcome. What is the real outcome? And a lot of it is, when I get there, I want to feel this, or I want to have created this. Yeah. So much stuff there. So much stuff. And as I say, it's not difficult. Is it simple? Absolutely bloody simple, because in simplicity, there's genius. Is it intellectual? A little bit, because you have to think about it. But without that thought, you probably won't take the action, because that's sometimes where that overwhelm comes in, because it's too much no thought, as it were. And then you create a strategy, and then you bloody do it. And remember, if you don't do it, why? What's going on? Is it just your interest that you want to know this stuff? Because if you do, that's fine, but don't expect to improve. Just having knowledge without action won't let you improve. But once you start taking action, it grows like that snowball going downhill. All your learnings come together, and they just come in such a wonderful way that you'll surpass all your expectations. If you have that lack of confidence in doing this, remember that program I was telling you about, Supreme Inner Confidence? Remember, you get a discount right now, 40%. If you go to Paul Clough Online, put in the code PDU40, you'll get 40% off. It's a good discount. If you sign up for those free hypnosis tracks in my newsletter, which only comes out once a month, you get a bigger discount, a way bigger discount. And there's a 30 money day back guarantee. Try saying that backwards. There's a 30-day money back guarantee, and the program doesn't take 30 days. So you can try it out and you've got nothing to lose but your unconfidence. And then come back to all of this. You see, when you do this type of stuff, when you take that action, what are you really doing? You're taking responsibility. And when you take responsibility, like when we talk about the cause is greater than the effect, you are moving from the effect. The effect is that feeling of down, that effect of feeling guilty, anxious, fear. Any emotion that's stopping you, that's just an effect of something else. And when you take responsibility for changing it, you become a cause. You become the cause of the change. No one else does. Because if you wait for other people to be, you'll be at the effect of their decisions, their responsibility. And you don't want that. Because you're responsible for your life, for you. And it's just about making that decision. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. If you need help, send me an email. Paul, I understood what you said, but I'm still having this bit of an issue around here. And we'll do another podcast episode around it. We'll find a way. We'll do something that will just make the difference that makes a difference. Because it's always there. There's always a way. Just a matter of finding that positive belief. Because that's what I have. I know there's a way. It'll be okay. We'll get there. So send me that email, feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. Have a look at the programs at paulcloughonline.com. And the free hypnosis tracks, paulcloughonline.com/podcast. So much stuff for you here. And what I would do is, I just suggest maybe that you just maybe go back and write that list down. So you've got from here to there, from there to there, and there and there. So you get that simple process into your unconscious mind. Write your cards out, your stepping stone cards. Because when you do that, you probably won't even use them because you'll in effect have done it already. But you'll have it there just in case. And when you do this work, you'll get such a buzz. And your confidence will grow when you do this. Your confidence in yourself. Your confidence in your ability to make change now. It's as simple as that. Anyway, that's enough from me. I'm going to make my own little list of other stuff. I've done my journaling already this morning, but I'm going to do it again probably. Because I just enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I hope you enjoyed knowing that there's so much more for us here. Because what I want to leave you with, and these were my side notes, as it were. I wanted to leave you with the thought that there's always a way. There's always a way to change. There's always a way to do something different. That it's also always possible. I want you to have that feeling that it's always possible. There's always a way. And I want you to create the skills and know that you have the skills. And you know you have the choice to make the difference. And a little note to myself was to remind me, well, you know this stuff, Cluffy. You can do it too. And it's good to share. Share your experiences. And that's another thing I'd ask you to do. If you share your experiences of this back to me, because it gives me a boost to know that people are making changes, positive changes. And in some way we've worked together to make those changes. So email me, please. feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com so we can continue to inspire each other. That integrated field of learning gets richer and the energy in it just overspills into every person. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Anyway, until next time, stay here just for a little while longer because I'll probably give a little outro. But if you would, have more fun than you can stand. Bye-bye. Well, you've listened to the whole of that podcast. I hope you really enjoyed it. I would love you to share it. Share this episode, but really, I know you've got so many friends and I know it takes so long, and I know you're desperate now to press the share button, to press share now with all your friends, but just do a few at a time because you'll overwhelm them. They'll all come back to you and you'll get so much thanks for sharing this. It will, why don't you allow that pleasure of getting that thanks 10 people at a time. Anyway, all joking aside, if you could share this podcast and share this episode, it would be awesome. And I thank you for doing that. It makes my heart zing, as they say, when I get people to say, well, yeah, I shared it and people just enjoyed it so much. Give me that feedback if you would, and press that subscribe button. All these things make a difference. If you want to leave a review, it'll be awesome. all these things make a difference, not only to say the popularity of this podcast, to get it out into the world, to get people to listen, but more importantly, to help people change and make a difference to this little old planet Earth. Because goodness knows, we could do with a little bit of help, couldn't we? And you and I are the ones that are going to do it, okay? So have more fun than you can stand. Oh, remember, Paul Clough Online to get those discounts, okay? I'll see you next time, my friend. Have fun.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.